Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do get started, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a lot of things happening. Now, Izuku, he made a mistake. He was trying to stay out of a Fey deal, stay out of a Fey debt. Kefren nearly got him trapped where he gave him an interesting book about some Fey things he might need to know. It had stuff about Fey magic and even how to create potions. It was definitely interesting. The man quickly gave it off to Deku and tried to leave, even expressing his annoyance at their earlier exchange. However, Izuku, he used Misty Step, allowing him to get back in front of the man and gave him something to even out their deal. He gave him a very fancy and expensive box of chocolates. And the man, he did want to refuse, but the variety, it had him the moment he saw it. Now, Deku, he then talked to the man briefly, trying to explain what he's really here for. Yes, members of the Fey court and even nobles leaving a pile of gifts outside of his door does seem nice, but taking any of them will put him in their debt. And he's trying not to do that. The man briefly expressed about how he wanted to be in Izuku's debt to take his father's place in the Sealy court. And his father was the man who was murdered in the study. And this was rather interesting for Deku to know. The idea now that he can make an association with this is good. Apparently, the wife, however, is gone. The man did like bitter human wine. And that is something else to put down in his investigation. Now, speaking of Fey deals, there was Fova, aka Savetti's granddaughter, and that it was very bad. She is a Fey princess, the granddaughter of an archfey, and she does have powerful blood running through her veins. If Deku does try to break this deal he made with her, he might get cursed, or something else might happen. However, their deal was simple. She will be more active and take a role on his team in order to help solve the murder. In exchange, she wants Deku's presence for some reason. She wants him to show up physically to somewhere or be around her for a short period of time. Basically, she calls him, he has to show up. And he can't really say no to that. Now, Izuku, after investigating the room further with Indra and Fova, they made a bit of a startling discovery. The man's tongue and esophagus were burned. There's fire damage, as if from fire magic. And Indra, while looking around and trying to follow the strong smells in the air with her nose, she finally pinned down the source. Sulfur. And she even found some on the ground. It was overlooked before. And this does mean a bit. Right now, it isn't good. They found trace amounts of it, but that's enough. And Fova was not happy with this fact. And she revealed to them that there could potentially be more going on here than they first thought. A demon might be involved in this matter. And Deku, yeah, he went to bed with a mind full of thoughts. The wine clearly was poisoned. The man was burned from the inside out. A demon is involved, and right now she's talking to her grandmother about figuring this all out. And we do have the next morning. Deku, he does get to try and meditate. Right now, him sitting there with his eyes closed and thinking about a lot. Pyra is lying in his bed, and she is a little tired. She didn't get much sleep last night, and neither did he. Dream magic is strange, but being informed about something in a dream and then waking up knowing it's crucial, it feels so weird. Apparently, they looked into the matter with the man. He's assuming they use the same type of magic he's trying to find, just something more advanced. Something that will allow him to see more information about something he does look at, or even target it as his item to scan, I guess. It's so weird trying to use different words, but he knows what they all mean. I guess that's the whole thing about being from another world. People don't exactly get his way of speaking. Even Pyra and Oliver took some time to get used to it. But now that does raise the question. Of all the people he should question, he has a pretty good idea as to where to start. If that room is still the same way, then it should be fine. Though he's assuming that the Queen, she might be holding court to discuss this matter. If not, this matter just got a lot more secretive than before. If a demon or devil is involved, then that must mean the demon lord's up to something. He wants this to be an instability. Right. Him going to bring up his hand, his magic crystal falling into his palm as he does try to think. Attempting to try and contact anyone, one of the other four heroes. Hopefully, Ochako does have some insight. Him opening his hand, and the crystal does fly up into the air before it does a glow, glowing brighter and brighter before falling back to his palm. And that is odd. Deku trying this a few more times before it doesn't work. He tries calling Kirishima, even Bakugo. And this does tell him one thing. He's alone. Okay, so Pyra. The crystal flying up into the air and going to shoot a beam out, attempting to contact hers as he does go to bring his hand up to grab it. Aware that this must be a limitation. If time is passing differently, then there's a barrier. Something's blocking the call, ironically. And that, it does give Deku a small chuckle. Him going to bring his head up, back onto the weapon he does have sitting on his lap. It's powerful. He knows it's enchanted, but this strange pull he does feel from the weapon. He has to pull from it. Bind it to him. Attune himself to it. He's gained better abilities with this weapon. It's not as heavy, but it's faster. It's smaller. It does have a bit more range, but still. He's used to dual wielding. He's not proud of it, but he does feel a bit more like a brawler. Swinging around two big swords definitely did start to get fun. Though, maybe that's because he usually does tend to break weapons. So having ones he can't break does tend to help. Him closing his eyes, imagining himself swinging this thing around. He's in a field, open, nice, beautiful. The grass is a bright blue. The sky is a twilight purple. Mushrooms do begin to glow, and they do light up the area around them. And Izuku, he does stare at the weapon in his hand, it emitting a strange glow. And the blade does get a shine. Before he does let go of it, it is to float upwards into the air. Izuku staring at this. Before there is where the blade does it aim down and stab him in the middle. Right now, him watching as in the middle of the ground between him and a shadow, it landed. He felt the strange sensation from it. He pulled from the weapon. The shadow, it was from the blade. Him staring at it. He pulled the line away, but it's trying to reconnect. This thing must be a curse. Deku's staring on, and it does begin to take shape, taking the shape of a man, tall, clad in armor, and who might have been. Deku is staring at the weapon, for the man does stare at him stepping forwards towards the blade, and both of them are unarmed. Deku rushing in, as right of the man, him and Deku do run for the blade. Him bringing his hand up and grabbing it with his left hand, the man throwing a fist out and trying to attack Izuku. And Deku, he does go to bring his hand up and go to attack the man. The man dodging out of the way for throwing an arm across Deku's face. Him going to smash to the right as he does try to hold onto the blade and pull it up. The man going to bring his hand down and grab onto the blade as well. Him going to grab on to Deku's hand. Him using his right hand to try and pull Deku's off and away from the weapon, which is his. And Deku, he does go to attack, stepping forwards and smashing the man in the chest, who does refuse to let go, to back away. He is trying to draw it up from the ground, try and reform his connection. And that he doesn't want to lose. However, the hero, he wants to gain. He had his time. Now it is his sword. It was given to him. It is his decision to make what he will with it. Harness the proper power of it and do what is right. That's on his mind. And Izuku's ability does get to activate. Right now, Pyra getting up, feeling the magical energy pouring from outside. And she doesn't want to sit there. Her in her robe and staring at Deku, who does sit there in meditation. The sword is shining with black energy, and his white and blue aura, they are roaring around him. He's holding the weapon, and it's a little odd. Deku going to step in and throw an attack at the man, socking him across the face and trying to bind himself to this weapon, pulling hard as he can as the person, they do try to hold the weapon down, throwing their own attack, uppercutting him, trying to pull the weapon up themselves as he does go to do what they did. However, this time, he does it throw out his foot, him kicking them in the chest as they do go to stand there, taking the attack directly head on. And he's annoyed. Him going to rush forwards and throw up his hand, going to try and use an elemental spell. However, his spiritual skill to slash the man across the chest. Him staring at that before he's to bring his hand up. The man throwing it out and attempting to go for Deku's eyes, trying to take one of them out since that might be the best thing he can do. However, he does go to turn his head, taking the brunt to the side and feeling himself stumble to the right, as he does go to throw his hand down to the weapon, ripping it upwards and slashing into the man, as he has a slice upwards and the spirit remaining in the blade does get set free. Him beginning to fade into the air as Izuku, he does go to open his eyes, and he does get to feel it. His connection forms to the blade. He links to it. And the energy, the aura, it does begin to float up into the air, dispelling completely. And that, it does surprise him. Right now, him looking back down and seeing Pyra, who does get to ask exactly what he was doing. Huh? I think I did it. But that was a challenge. Her looking at him still somewhat confused, as Deku does get a stand and try to tell her. He attuned to the weapon. He had to break the previous connection. Him holding it up, and the black scabbard, he does go to pull the weapon free, seeing the true shine of the blade. It's silver. It looks beautiful. It glows purple. And Izuku, he does get to pull the weapon free a bit more. Pyra's staring at it. It looks so pretty. And Orc wielded that weapon before him? This is somewhat surprising her. And Izuku, he does get to put the weapon away. Right now, he can't be walking around with this. At least not freely in the palace. Guards might try to question him or might try to take it. Then he really cannot have that. Him going to step out. And everyone, they do begin their preparations for breakfast again. However, the thing that has changed this morning is whenever the five are sitting down eating, Deku, he does get a turn. Across from him is Oliver. To his left is Pyra. To his direct right is Fova. And to Pyra's left is Indra. Right next to her is Aztoth, who currently is eating from a large plate. And Izuku, he does go to turn his head. As Pyra does try to ask Fova exactly what she's doing here. Yes, I've informed your hero of many things. I know the situation has been dire, but we came to a deal. Pyra falling silent. Oliver looking up from his plate and nearly choking on the food he had in his mouth. And Izuku, he does a turn to Indra, who does have a shitty grin since she wasn't the one who fell for a deal. And this does slightly annoy him. Right now, him expressing, it's fine. Things didn't get too out of hand with it. Yes, I pulled him into a dream and I informed him of many things. Her bringing her hand out and touching Deku's arm. Him going to turn and express. Right. It's him pulling his arm away. You need to figure this all out. You did figure it all out. Just stop doing dream magic. Do you want to bargain for that? I want my sleep back, Fova. My apologies. Listen, I just need to figure this all out. If demons are involved, or devils, then that could get bad. I'm sorry, what? Demons, devils, they are powerful creatures. The idea that one got the wards in our palace is a problem. I've already talked to my grandmother, and she has approved of you to know some information. What kind of information? Is it free? What is the cost of taking it? And I'm assuming there is a twist. Deku looking at Indra. Right now it might be best to let the dragon manage the deals. Though, if she does need to try and get out herself, she'll have an escape clause. Maybe he should try to focus more on that. She trapped him with an emotional response. Something he wasn't ready for. Getting her name and then her help. She is clever. Maybe having Fova as a friend could be good here. Or getting her name might be the only way he can ensure she doesn't try to backstab him. He may not like it, but it might become a possible option. Something he does have to keep in mind. And she does go to express, Deku looking back to her, stating, nearby, they do have a hidden location. Nearby, the city. It's quite simple. A long time ago, this land, it wasn't properly settled. There was said to be demons and devils roaming before my people conquered the Feywild. Some of us died. Many of us were killed or injured. Some even fell for the tricks. There is a dungeon not too far away. It would more aptly be called a ruin, for creatures may dwell there. But we believe that the obelisk containing the demon might still be there. It is possible it could be shattered. Now, when you say demon, I do not know what it is. My grandmother, she speculates it might be a devil, or a powerful demon. One that is capable of making deals. It's quite possible if it was set free, it may be trying to enact some sort of revenge. That is a possibility. So you would need to check it out. I will accompany you as your guide. The princess looking at Fova, for she does expressly state in Sylvan what type of twist are they having to this. Wouldn't it be better for a warrior to accompany them? Deku looking at her, as Fova does get to speak, expressing in elegant Sylvan that it is quite possible, yes, however, this matter has become royal duties, something of great importance. She does understand this matter involves members of their court. And the fact of the matter is, right now, things are not good. They're talking about a being who is trying to start a war between multiple cities, if not multiple powerful people, capable of leveling lands. I'm quite well aware. Her Highness won't smile, expressing, the heroes does still have a lot of things to do in town. Perhaps looking into that could be a matter they do look into as well. Her turning, expressing to Izuku with feigned ignorance, saying that they've talked about it a little bit. They may explore the dungeon later. Maybe figure out what's going on there when it does regard to the subject of the matter. I see. Yes, it's become royal matters. And I believe that she does need to talk to her grandmother about maybe securing information about said dungeon. If it is well documented by your people, then you must have built it, correct? We did. We built it to house things. I see. Well now, that is something I'm quite curious about. I may not speak on those matters. Now, you need to understand, once this is done, we must talk and discuss things. Fova turning to Izuku, expressing, she will talk with many of the people. However, is there any information he believes they might be able to glean? Anyone they are investigating? Right now I don't have many suspects. I wanted to say maybe one of the other members of the court, but I'm not sure I can just directly ask them, let alone pull them aside to interview them. Not in the middle of court. I see. I can end the court. right now walk in their discussions and pull them away. Though that would look ungood. Looking into matters of the Seelie and Unseelie, it would put suspicion on someone. Exactly who you think might be involved. Right now, this being where Lillian does finish it off, telling Izuku, whoever he does pick as the first suspect to point at, it will affect how people do perceive the case. It's a matter of simply perspective. If he believes an Unseelie may be involved in the murder, that will put more emphasis on the Unseelie. And that is not good. Who exactly does he think may have done it? I don't know. Listen, I know the first person I want to question. And I'm really going to hate that I had to learn this skill. And I'm a little confused. As Deku, he does go to finish his breakfast and go to stand. Right now, going to walk away. Them concerned. And Izuku, he does head back to the room where the guard does stand there. The man looking at Deku for nodding his head. The door going to open as he has to step into it. His party members following suit as Saveti, she does get to stand there. Her asking Izuku, with her hands folded behind her back, exactly what he believes is going on now. I need to look into a few things. But I will need the room. But I will need you here. I express that we can keep what does happen private. Is that a deal? Deku turning to the others. Before he does get a stare at them, informing Fova to please step out of the room. Why? I am here to help you. You are. But I believe that this will be enough. You wish for my grandmother to be here, but not me. Yes. Listen, I don't like this magic. Very well. Her not fighting it. Right now striving for efficiency on this matter. Her turning her head and walking out the door. A little annoyed. As Deku, he does get to open his hand. Right now him going to bring his right hand up and go to run flames across the incense. And Saveti does stare at that. Before Deku, he does go to express. Now, he does call upon the spirit of the willing. Answer his questions. Him casting the spell. And he's aware that that's not exactly how it does go, but he does need to give a verbal component. Especially if he is dealing with a Fae. While he would like to cast this wordlessly, he would like to keep some of his own secrets. And the man, he does begin to look up, turning his head slightly, a little intrigued. His neck does feel stiff, but their magic they're using to preserve him has kept that from getting worse. And he does look up to see the queen, him attempting to rise to his feet, but fully aware now as to what's going on. There's a human in front of him, one he's never seen. There's an elf. There's another human, and he sees now. Him going to resign himself, relaxing the chair and staring at them. Before he does it, ask in Sylvan. Answer their questions. What do they want of him? Deku expressing, in well-spoken Sylvan. Do you have suspects in your murder? And the queen does turn her head, smiling a little bit, since she suspected as such. However, confirming it, it does want to make her laugh, since many members of the court, they spoke blatantly in front of Izuku. And if her granddaughter was to leave the room, she must not know either. He is quite the tricky one. And while she does go and suppress her laugh, the man does turn to the queen. And he does want to say something, but she does give a nod. And the man does tell him that he does have possible suspects. He was not threatened. However, Dorian, she was quite strange towards him. That's of the Sealy Court? Yes. There was also someone else. Deku waiting, concerned about asking another question, as there is where he does express. Calordian. He was someone else, who we may suspect of his murder. He's aggressive, overbearing, an ass. Though he does fight with purpose. Poison may not be his method. But it would be something. Okay. Your glasses. Who were you meeting the night you died? The man turning his head, looking at both of them and seeing his is properly reformed. And he does express. He was to meet with his son. He was to celebrate an achievement of his in magic. He's grown quite powerful. And there is even said belief that one day he can ascend to the level of an archfey. His son has made him proud in many respects. That is what happened. That night he had a lot to think about, maybe see with the arrangements, and he decided to have a drink before things went dark. Dorian again. Did you make a deal with a demon? No. Why would there be a demon on palace grounds? Okay then. What did you taste different in the wine? I've heard that it's bitter. It's human wine. But I don't know much about those. The wine tasted strange. I do not know how else to describe it. It usually tastes like how it does say, but something hidden inside. I drink, maybe a little greedily, but that is how I tend to. It was strong. It was less flavorful. And after I felt it pass my lips, I suspected something was off. I thought it was just the wine, the brandy, as it is. But no. I realized whenever I felt the burning sensation pass further down to my stomach, I was poisoned. I see. The aura around him went a fade. And that was 5 questions. Okay, so it points back to his son. He didn't show up that night, but he was murdered. Now he's trying to take his father's place in the court by putting Deku in his debt? No, this is odd. He needs to figure this out a bit better. The queen, staring at this herself, unsure as to what this does mean. She knows the young man. She's talked to him. His prowess would make him ascend the court either way. Given proper time and knowledge, he's young and a prodigy. And if this was a deal she was making, even she would think something is wrong with it. Deku having a similar suspicion. Him turning and speaking in Sylvan without realizing he's still focused, that he needs to know a bit more about this. She mentioned before possibly there being a demon or a devil, but him stopping, blinking, and going to talk in common. They still need to figure out a bit more about what's happening with this dungeon. If the obelisk he's heard about, if it's there and present, is that correct? That would be correct. You do speak fine Sylvan. Do you allow the members of the court to not know? Yes, and I would like to keep it that way. It's a powerful tool whenever people don't realize that you're able to understand their rantings about you. I see. Then perhaps we should talk? Perhaps we should. Deku, realizing perhaps playing the fool might not get him any further with the queen. She is powerful. And now that she is in on this little secret, talking with her is a good idea. The door opening as Fova does try to ask exactly what magic did he use. To which Izuku does turn, expressing that it was from necromancy. And she has someone going to turn her head, both intrigued and a little disgusted that he would use that in this place. Though he does express, Rano Savetti going to bring her head up and teleport the two away. Deku not even able to get in a word as he does find himself sitting down in a room. Him looking in front of him to see a cup of tea, and that it does intrigue him. However, the queen does sit across from him, expressing, right now, in a dress, there's a lot she does want to ask of him, a lot she does see about him. This has become a fun little game. To think that Fova would make a deal with him first. She does have to say, Kefren, was he tried, but it didn't exactly work out too well for him. I gave him something equal for what he gave me. I watched the exchange. He almost had you, didn't he? Almost. But why exactly are we here? I'm going to give you a map of the location you need to head to if you wish to investigate the obelisk. This matter is for my sake. It is free of charge. I will not give that to you, but I do wish to discuss possibly making a deal with someone very powerful. You want something, do you not? You know many languages. I know things. Yes, the resting place of a cursed old man. You know much. You know exactly where his statue is, don't you? I'm not answering that question. I said I'd make sure. He'd rest. He will rest. What use do I have for dust? Her shrugging that off. And Izuku, he does go open his mouth. However, he does say in all three of the languages he does know at once one simple statement. What exactly? Him surprised. Before he does get a stare back up at the queen, and she does get a smile, expressing one of her many abilities. She's a Lachey, and, well, they are polygloss. Deku staring at her. He spoke. Deku lowering his hand and trying to speak again. This time, him focusing on a language and speaking Sylvan. as he has to ask, why did she do that? Deku, hearing Elvish slip into the statement, and she has a smile, expressing, it isn't a curse. She's simply giving him a demonstration. Lachey are capable of many things. She can make many deals with him, give him a multitude of different powers and abilities. All she does ask is a favor. All she does ask is for them to come to a deal. Kafrin pushed it already. I don't wish to make a deal. Her staring at Deku. Before she has to ask if she can even try making a sales pitch. You can certainly try. I want the map to the dungeon first, before you do attempt to try and sail me on something. Her bring her hand up. With a wave of it, going to create the map and slide it across the table. Deku grabbing the map as she does it a hold onto her end, telling him she can grant him many skills, many things. She can give him power not even primordials nor gods could give him. Does that really sound so bad? It doesn't. Deku's saying truthfully, and she does get a somewhat stare a little surprised. Letting go of her end as Deku doesn't fall back, he slowly sits back in his chair. And she does it express. Perhaps she is laying it on a little too thick. She can grant him an ability. Is that so hard to believe? Powerful, unique. She does not understand why he does not want immortality. Humans live such short lives compared to them. Maybe, but I can't imagine living forever. Such an odd statement. Though you may get 4 centuries if you're lucky. Most humans do have at least a drop of elven blood. 400. Yes. You will get 400, maybe 2 or 3, if you're a little less lucky. A little more pure human, but you, with your blessings, you will have an extended life. I've seen minor, but yours are more powerful. More minor? You mean better skills? Whatever you do want to call them. But I've seen deific intervention is what I do mean, child. I've given powers to people, and I've heard that they've even given power to people, but it wasn't as fun. Fun? Yes. Now, simply think of something. Think of something. I've taught my granddaughter the magic of dreams. I can teach you a magic you do like. I could teach you how to teleport. Deku, thinking about that. Now that one is nice. He does have an ability, but it's not as good. It has restrictions he barely got around the last time he used it. You have my attention. I thought so. Her smiling, clapping her hands together and going to spread them apart. And Izuku, he does see it. Things that do look incredible in front of him. It's magical language. And Deku does stare at that. The words flowing and glowing in the air. Teleportation's a possible skill he can learn. Then there's that ability. The one to learn and speak all languages. That is a useful skill. But what can that exactly do for him? Dual casting? If he can do more than speak in one language, he can do a lot more. Learn arcane knowledge, understand them, not just speak them, but would polyglot allow me to write those languages? Yes, it would. Quite an interesting question. You would not like the arcane secrets to be your own? Just a question. Deku was staring at another one, and it is interesting. There's just there's teleportation, then dream magic, polyglot, and so many to look at. And he's only focused on those three. Those other two, though, what are they supposed to do? Izuku staring at their names. There's 8 skills in front of him. He's looking around at them, but his eyes do fall back to that one word. No, those 3 words. Him turning back to one skill and seeing what it says. Sage. And that, it does intrigue him. Him asking about that one and learning that it would be able to give him knowledge he does not previously know. It is information he can ask for at a time. It's simple. The ability is something she believes could be of usefulness to him on his adventure. A powerful ability, if she does so say. And that Deku, he does look at. Him looking at the other ability. Its name jumping out at him. Cursebreaker. Him almost reaching for it. However, Deku, it does catch his hand whenever he does it to bring it up. Him pointing at that one. I assume you would assume correct. However, I do not want to afflict you with a curse, hero. One that is not beneficial to you. Like it does seem the dryads have already done with that little piece of magic. Her bringing her hand up and snapping her fingers. Deku's amulet falling off of him. Him looking down and seeing it hit the ground. And that does surprise him. Picking it up and asking how she just... It's magic. Hero. It is quite easy to perform. I simply destroy the bonds of the curse to you and its connection to you. Now, what more do you wish to know? It would allow you to absorb curses. Deku closing his mouth. It would allow you to do many things. Not be affected by their negative impact on you. Gain their benefits, however, if there are any to gain. I would even say it can do many more things. It can break curses, give them to people, and even for lack of a better word, benefit you in the long run. Her smiling, turning almost devilish. And Izuku, while he might be intrigued by that ability, he does want to steer clear of it. I mean, giving people curses, not really his style. Taking them away, yeah, that definitely sounds more like it. Though, he has a skill for that. Him going to look at another ability. It registering in his mind what it does say. Primal spirits. And that one does intrigue him. Her talking about how he does manifest his essence in a physical form. This would allow him to call upon essence of others. My essence. Yes. Do you not know what that construct is made from? My essence. But I don't understand. I'm manifesting my willpower. What is willpower but an extension of the human soul? Deku was staring at her, wanting to go slack-jawed, but realizing that that does make sense. His ability. He's empowering himself by turning his soul into a weapon, fighting with all his soul. And that, it does intrigue him, along with his power. Though he does turn to another one. One of the final two. Weather magic. Allows him to manipulate storms. Allows him to control elements of storms. I mean, combining that with some other magic. Raining down ice or fire. Raining down slime would be funny. But it definitely would cause chaos on the battlefield. But even more, it could do much more. An entire barrage of magic rain. I mean, it would hurt, but it wouldn't kill. Though he does turn to psychoportation. And she does express, it is more what she believes he would like. Something that could help him along. It is psionic magic. That catching Deku's attention. Her quickly changing the letters and expressing, using his mind to perform these feats. Quite simply, allow him to do so many things with that brain of his. I see. Deku staring at all of them. All of those abilities are tempting. Definitely tempting. What do you have to gain from this? It is quite simple, hero. I have much to gain. Though, I will let you figure that out. What does she have to gain? Deku just trying to think about it. He's here to help her. But take that away. Think like a Fae. Fae don't usually do something without it benefiting them. Or, in the long run, going into putting somebody in their service. Right now, Deku, he's here to resolve the issue. He's in service of the king. But that's only in his eyes. He is here to help them, free of charge. But that's not how they see it. The gifts, the insistence, the wording, people fighting to try and get him on their side. The queen being so quick to jump onto a deal, not because his magic is just unique, just his abilities are special, because he's some sort of anomaly. Because if he does figure out this issue, stop the courts from fighting, or even stop a war, now stopping a demon, the stakes are higher. The entire court would be in his debt. And that idea, it just crosses through Deku's mind. And Saveti can see the moment that registered completely. And Izuku, he does go to look up. Her smiling without saying a word. And this, it does make more sense now. He can select a skill. They're powerful for that exact reason. She's tempting him with powerful magic so they're even. But he's still in her granddaughter's debt. She doesn't serve the court, and she, as far as he's aware, can be cleared. She's willing to help, and without her, they would have not found those burns. She'll be their guide through the ruins. He's getting put a bit further into her debt, though, by doing this. And if it's dangerous, then that makes it worse. But they'll find the murderer. And once that's said and done, the court will owe her as part of that. Is that her game? Or is it for him to owe her as well more? Another favor that she can call upon. That would be 2. 1 is enough already. You may make your selection now, hero. I don't know. I see. Do you want one of these abilities? They're all amazing. I mean, I don't want to just say no. But you want to be out of my debt. Yes, I do. I see. Is there anything else I can do? Anything else you want to know from me? Perhaps. Allow me to look into your mind. Learn more of your world. If it's as strange and fantastical as I believe it is to be, it could be something quite interesting. I'll decline on that. Afraid I'll find your name? You already do have one of mine. That's not what I... One of yours? Yes. Saveti is one of my names. I have multiple. The name that I do share in this form. I'm confused. I was not always Saveti. I was 2 other archfays, both sisters, who, after nearly coming to blows and killing each other, they decided to work together. Instead of destroying the courts and leveling the city, they built it better. When I came to be, I chose a name for myself. And I discovered, later on, as long as those 3 names are not found, you do not have full power over me. Full power. So you wish for people to trust you. It is a measure. If I know someone's name, they can always call upon me. They can always contact me as long as I... Never mind. So you know where I am because I know my name. Yes. You can even reach out to me mentally. I believe like a familiar. Just say my name and think. Real hard. Deku looking at her. He does want to attempt that, but it might just be another way to get into his head. I mean, responding telepathically, that is kind of a sign to look into his mind, right? He'll avoid that for right now. Him staring at her. Before she has her frown, leaning back and asking if he's going to take the deal. Honestly, this is the longest she's had someone sitting there before, and the longest selection took probably about less than a minute, and they've been here for way longer than that. Deku's staring on. Okay. Going off the idea that he could turn that around. Can I hand over favors? Her raising a brow. I believe you can. Why do you ask? If every one of the Celian and Silicourt are in my debt, I could pass that on to you and put you back into my debt. Her staring at Deku, laughing a bit and going to express. She is quite fascinated by this mortal. And she does believe that he should know. It is possible but that just does mean she owes him a larger favor. So she would have to get him something better. I don't believe that would be necessary. Deku turning. He's been thinking about it this whole time. He doesn't know much about dream magic, so that's out. The ability to speak all languages, yeah. That's an ability he's never heard of before. Teleportation, he can learn that later on. He knows it's possible. If he does talk to Atrig, maybe he can learn it a bit better. Learn his way of doing it. It would also mean quite a bit. He doesn't know much about psionic abilities, so that's out as well. He might have increased his mind power, but he's not sure what level he'll unlock that. That stuff sounds more complicated. Something for a monk, maybe? Curse Breaker is one of those other unique abilities. He already does have a spirit ability, so calling upon others, it could be good backup. Okay. He's got to seriously think about this, though. Whether he can already do stuff that can control the weather. Whenever he did the winter storm, he took out a large portion of the army. That was back then. He's stronger now. A lot stronger. He's probably doubled in strength since then. And that thought does catch Deku's attention. Him silently crossing out weather on his list. Polygloth, Sage, and Primal Spirits. Those are the remaining three. Using curses doesn't seem like something Deku does feel comfortable with. And right now, there is the fact that he doesn't know much about dream, nor can he know much about psionic magic. And teleportation, again, with a few pokes and prods from Indra, she might know it. Hell, he'd be surprised if she didn't. Though there is a reason why her father gave him that sigil. So, going off the idea that he can give that to her and she might know it a bit and teach him what she can know, could be good. Plus, with Polygloth, he could speak the language of the dragons. And this thought is way more tempting now. That skill does outweigh it, since it might allow him to learn another skill that is on this list. Plus, if his ability, Spirit, can manifest his own, who's to say at higher levels he can't manifest other spirits? Not just from himself, but maybe of creatures around him. He did have a knowledge, a strange awareness of the shaman. And from what he doesn't understand, he thinks that's from their skills. So that does entice him more. Deku looking up and making a selection. As he does get a smile from the queen. Every day it'll reappear back in our room, he does go to hold the map and turn, telling his party members about what they'll be doing. And the skill, it does go to attach itself to Izuku, along with him earning a challenge achievement, since he just made a deal with an Archfey. And he does then get another challenge achievement, since he successfully navigated Fey politics. And he managed to strike a deal and keep a Fey in his debt, along with even keeping an Archfey on his list of people he can call on for a favor. Now, with that being said, I do believe that is a good point to leave this off of. And I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.